Happy Mother's Day, one of the most important days of the year. Who's more important than mothers? Nobody. Who's more important than the powerful, assertive, and courageous women in our lives? Nobody. Who's more important than our secret weapon, best friend, wives, and spouses? Nobody. Who is more important than our daughters and our granddaughters? Nobody. So a very badass happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. A special happy Mother's Day to my mom, Eva McLean, who is 88 glorious years young, living independently with my father in the home that we were raised in, driving, enjoying life, healthy, free, independent, and for the most part, living a life of autonomy at the age of 88 years old. So also a special happy Mother's Day to my wife, Krista, who is, every day, 365, is the role model. My daughter, Emery, gets season tickets, a front row showing of what it's like to be an outstanding mother. Love, respect, discipline, structure, patience, all of the things that are important in a child's life. So a happy Mother's Day to my wife, Krista. Also, it's so important. You look back on this day and your experience with your moms, whether they're still with us here or not. And I think about growing up in the back of a general store in a tiny little village. We were there for 5 years. But those were the years, age 1 to 5, where I saw my dad go to work every day at 7 a.m. We lived in the back of the general store. And watching my dad go to work every single day but Christmas Day at 7 a.m. And his day was over at 9 p.m., so that's a 14-hour day, every day but Christmas. And he would come into the back of the house for lunch, and he never missed a single thing. Even though he worked these extreme hours, my dad was a free man because he worked for himself. He said, I remember him saying at the time, he goes, "I'm not rich, I don't have any money," but he goes, "At least I've claimed my freedom. I've claimed my freedom." My mom was able to stop working at a regular job. She worked at the courthouse, and she wanted to raise. At the time, it was just my brother and it was actually just my sister and myself, and then my brother came along. But my mom wanted to be at home with us. She wanted to be a full-time mom, and my dad's work ethic made this happen. We didn't have any money. We didn't have, we lived in the back of the store. I remember my mom going shopping in the general store, and my dad's paid himself first. He paid himself a wage. He worked his ass off for 4 years, 5 years, and then he sold it and entered the insurance business, and the rest is history. But what's really interesting is he claimed his freedom even before he claimed his wealth or whatever you want to call it, financial freedom. He just said, "That's it, I'm not working for anybody any longer." So a happy Mother's Day to the CEO of McLean, the McLean family. I always call my mom the CEO. My dad was the guy out by the cash register. He was the guy, pumping gas, bringing the feed bags down, filling boats with gas, all this kind of stuff. Slicing meat, whatever it was in the general store, right? Selling fishing gear and all that stuff. And my mom was the CEO, the COO behind it all, where she was taking care of two children in the back of the store. And I mean, I can't think, if you could pick your mother, I can't think of uh, a more perfect match for my sister and my brother and myself. And I was thinking about Mother's Day yesterday, Saturday, and thinking, of Krista and her late mother, Gerda Hardy, and, just all the powerful and assertive and independent women that I have in my life, which is a really big deal in 2022. The women in my life, my mom, my wife Krista, Krista's mom, the late Gerda Hardy, all the women, Leanne Brennan, who works for me. The list goes on and on. And I've had many, many powerful, assertive, confident, loyal women that work for me. My COO, Sandra Challenger, who ran our multi-million-dollar insurance agency for 10 years. Tristan Kate, who was my athletic trainer with my Perth Blue Wings, including our 2019 Barclay Cup championship. She was a female badass in a, relatively male sport, and just, she was part of the reason we won. And my personal assistants that I've had through the years, including Leanne, including Linda Bartlett, including Stephanie Pender. I mean, these women were incredible people, tough, alligator skin, independent thinking, mavericks, renegades, skilled, independent. The list goes on and on. And it's amazing, with all these great women that have been in my life, personal and professional, is they all had a common denominator, that they weren't scared of a successful man. They weren't scared or afraid of a successful father or a powerful husband or none of that stuff. Powerful women, independent women like this, they're not, they don't want to see a reduced man. They're not into what you see from the dumbed down 99%, where, we're going to drive our men into the ground. We're going to reduce men. This is going to help us feel better about ourselves. The women that I've been blessed to have in my life, I mean, they embrace the alpha male. The husband that shows up, the entrepreneur that shows up, the grandfather that shows up, the leader. They're not intimidated by a king, or it's just the opposite of what you see nowadays. So I'm very grateful that I have so many independent, courageous, powerful, and influential women making a difference in my life. Strong people. And they're making a difference, of course, in their families' lives, because strength is contagious, courage is contagious, bravery is contagious, and a positive example is contagious. So, with all that said, I just remember being raised by my mom. And it's funny because I talk about my dad a lot because of marketing and business. I had the pleasure of working with my dad for 17 years, eye to eye, toe to toe, belly to belly. But it's amazing that my personality comes from my mother. My mental toughness comes from my mother, not my father. My disposition, whether that's good or bad, my level of patience, my urgency, comes from my mother. And I'm blessed to know that my daughter Emery, who's 9, she has Grandma's disposition, Grandma's patience, Grandma's sharp edge, let's call it. Sharp edge. Grandma has always called a spade a spade. She has always been candid, almost uncomfortably honest. She never wastes time. And I remember Grandma, in all the years that we were children and into high school and college and university, Grandma never suffered any fools. Grandpa was the outside person, the COO. He ran the company. He was, in the photos in the newspaper. He was the community guy. He was the fundraising guy. But behind the scenes, the person who ran the playbook, the person who ran the systems and procedures inside the house was my mom. And I think it's kind of funny because I think about the old Bill Cosby quote, and it applies to my mom so much. Now that my mom's 88, she's around the hockey rink. She's, a grandmother several times over, and she's literally morphed into my grandmother, my grandmother Conroy, who was just an amazing woman. And I think of the old Bill Cosby quote, the comedy quote, where he said, people come up to me all the time at skating. My mom goes to everything, right? She goes to hockey. She goes to all of Emery's events. So she's at the rink. She's at the tennis court. If she can go to it, she's there. That's the type of grandmother she is, fully present. And people come up to me all the time and they say, "Oh my God, Michael, your mom is such a beautiful woman. She's such a gentle soul." And my dad and I always laugh at this. We always think of the Bill Cosby quote where Bill said, he goes, no. That's not my mother. That's an old lady who's trying to get into heaven. And every time I hear that quote, I think about that and how my mom, now that she's a grandmother, how she's changed and aged with grace. Because no, that wasn't the mother that raised us. That wasn't the mom that cracked the whip every single day with chores. I can't remember my sister Catherine, my brother David, I can't remember a day in my life where we got on the school bus. It didn't matter if we were 5 years old or we were 15 years old, where beds weren't made, dishes weren't washed, clothes weren't picked up. And I think, I give Emery chores today, and I think of children today, and I'm just like, my mom made sure that everything was done before we went to school. And then I remember getting off the bus, and it didn't matter if we played hockey or if we played ball or football or whatever it was. As soon as we get off the bus, homework was first. And, other than chores, she didn't give a shit about sports. And my dad was like, "Oh, we got hockey tonight, we got skating tonight, we got baseball tonight." And my mom would have none of it. She's like, Michael needs to work on his math, or Catherine needs to work on her history project, whatever it was. And my mom was such a strong student. And I think my dad went to grade 9 and then got into the entrepreneurial game. But my mom has incredible respect for academics, and she believes in a good education and what it can bring. So we learned that, my sister and my brother. We've learned the power of a solid education. And no, my mom would have no part of it. And she used to be the one that said, I remember one time the teacher called me into my parents into public school. I think I was in middle school. And it was a music teacher, and a lot of parents would have said, music teacher once a week, who cares? And I'll never forget my parents coming home, and I was kind of like, "Oh, what did she say? I don't get along well with that music teacher," and all that kind of stuff. And I remember my mom sitting down, and she said, no hockey whatsoever, no practices, no games for 7 days. If your attitude doesn't improve, and if you don't do better in music class plus all your other classes, hockey's done for the year. It was that was the end of the meeting. It was a stand-up meeting. And I'll never forget that was one of those things you remember. And I was like, man. And she's like, French matters, Spanish matters, music matters, art matters, all these things that I was like, I don't care about. She made me care about them. And my mom has that incredible sharp edge where She's a really, really caring and loving person. But if you're a fool, if you're a person who takes advantage, or you're a person who's lazy, or if you're dishonest, or you lack integrity and character, my mom has that antenna. She has that personal golden gut I talk about, where she's just like, son, I don't like that person. Or she'll be like to my dad, I don't like that person. And she never ever gets it wrong. She knows what great people look like, what they act like, what they think like, and what they behave like. And I just can't thank my mom enough for raising lions and not poodles. There's a lot of poodles today, and it's my job as a father, it's Krista's job as a mother, to make sure that in this abundant life that we all live in, everybody in North America, that we don't raise poodles. And one of my North Stars is my mom, and how hard she was, and how tough she was, and how loving she was, but she did not give a shit. If we didn't do our chores, if we didn't do what we were supposed to do, she didn't care. She didn't get in arguments. The strength of that toughness, her mental toughness, she didn't get in arguments as children. She just took things away. She took hockey away. She took baseball away. She would take TV away. And there was no argument whatsoever. She ruled, I like to say, with the velvet, the iron fist inside the velvet glove. And that was my mom to a T. The iron fist inside the velvet glove. She was loving, she's kind to this day, amazing. And we feel so fortunate that Emery has great grandparents in her life. We lost Krista's mom 3 years ago, which was a huge loss. But just to have my mom in Emery's life is, every day it's a blessing. So that's it for today. I just wanted to, I'm on my way to Fort Lauderdale to watch Emery compete in her first horse contest. She's she's riding a horse by the name of Coffee, so I like that. And she's participating in 4 events today in Fort Lauderdale. It's her very first riding competition. The hay is in the barn. She has been working on fundamentals for 4 years. She's been riding for 4 years. And right out of the Williams sisters playbook, I believe in practicing and practicing and practicing, sometimes for years, until you introduce competition. Get the fundamentals right. Get in your 5,000 hours before you even think about it. So I'm going to drive up and meet them. They went up tonight, day before. And I just love the competition. It's going to teach her losing. It's going to teach her winning. It's going to teach her, what winning and success and being a champion's about, and all these great things. So I'm looking forward to that trip up. But I want to shoot this video to say a very special, badass, happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. And as leaders and kings in our own worlds, let's remember to always honor our moms and our spouses and our best friends and our daughters. And really, when our children look back and they say, you know what, I had a front row seat to how a man really treats his wife, his mom, his grandmother, and the powerful women in his life. Nothing is contagious as a positive example. That's it. If you haven't got a copy of my book, you can get a copy at nobullbook.com. The link's below. I have a free webinar training, nothing to buy, worldbuildingwebinar.com. The link's below. If you'd like to apply and be put on a waiting list for my next 8-week coaching program, you can do that below, my world building program, which is on live right now. I'm working with some of the best right now over the last 8 weeks. It's been an incredible pleasure. You can sign up and at badassmillionaire.com/apply. So that is it for today. I will be back on Monday. If you like these videos, I shoot them every single day. This is like 155 every single day. I don't miss any days, God willing. And if you like my daily videos, it's just me. Usually I'm walking. I'm not usually sitting in a chair drinking water. But for some reason, I'm really lazy today, this afternoon. So I'm shooting this video in the garage. As you can see, hockey bags behind me, bicycles, tennis balls, rackets, and a rental vehicle in front of me for the trip to Fort Lauderdale. So if you like this channel, it's just me shooting on this broken iPhone 7. I don't carry a phone, and I mean, this is good enough. And it's unedited, unplugged, uncensored, and I just get up usually most days and walk my 4 miles and speak. If you're interested in joining me on my daily mini adventure, then please subscribe to the channel below and like or comment. That's great. Either way is fine by me. Positive, negative, makes no difference to me. So that's it for today. Happy Mother's Day to all of the amazing, amazing, amazing mothers. Two words that changed my life, and 2 words that can change your life. Be relentless.